looks awkwardly into camera. No. Welcome. So hopefully the Model video that's gone up in between this you've enjoyed and reminded that this is a Model channel first and foremost. But we're back to non-train related things. I'm actually thinking about a channel rebrand. I know this irritates some of you, but obviously when I initially started it, it was meant to be a blog of my journey with Japanese trains. And now it's evolved into a one-stop shop for me for all my hobbies and things I do, things I want to make videos about and record, be it my mental health, be it my whatever. This is a bit as well. Trying to rename coming, but the design of the thumbnails and everything's going to stay the same because I want it to be recognisable. So the pictures will stay the same. There won't be any planes on in as far as I'm aware. Well, I might have a bit of a fiddle because I can. You know, something I can do, but there's not enough Lancasters on here. Anyway, as the title suggests, yes, this is a mail call, and it is from Train Times in Eastbourne, and Gary, believe it or not, did it on the first ever saying of it, as opposed to the amount of times I've given it another name. So yes, Train Times in Eastbourne, link in the description below. And if you're a model railway enthusiast who likes British prototypes, or you're modelling 00 or HO, you want that special item to add to your collection, not sponsored by the way, but I can highly recommend. There is a very nice selection of SECR wagons, brake van in particular, that is limited to Train Times in Eastbourne by Rapido Trains, the model is made by, and it is based on the preserved example at the Cantonese Sussex Railway, and I believe, if I've got this right, and I'm sure I'll be corrected down below by those in question, that it's actually in Wainwright livery. So if that's something that interests you, I'd advise you go and have a look at that. I mean, because seriously, these things look cool. If I was a British modeller still, I still did British model railways in 00 gauge. The SECR was always one of those that always drew me. And anyone who knows me knows that this is true, not bluffing. I've tried to do it in N gauge. I've tried to do it in 00. I've tried to do the SECR before, and I would be getting one of these. I'd be getting one of these. They're fantastic. So yes, so this is from Train Times in Eastbourne, but this is not model trains. This is something a bit more akin to what we've just had a big series on. So without further ado, let's have a look. I'll show you this side obviously because the other side's got my address on. So I have a pair of scissors. So remember kids, get an adult to supervise you. And remember adults, be careful and don't wave them about like this. But I would give the same, and I have done, given the same support to other shops on brick and mortar, because I'm a firm believer in we need to look after our brick and mortar shops. Here in Nuneaton we have one over by the Pingles swimming pools in the industrial estate near there, and it was brought by a gauge master and it closed not long after, so we lost it. But he did European stuff, and it was from via that chap that I was actually able to do my this box is fighting me. Well packed, Sophia, well packed. Like, really well packed. Jeez. Okay. So, first out is an absolute classic. And this is probably one we'll be building on stream or on video pretty soon, because I brought this for the box art mostly, and I'm not disappointed. A little bit careworn. Of course, it's the Airfix Mark 1 Spitfire, 1/72 scale. But just look at that box art. You have the Spitfires in flight over the coast. They're obviously out on patrol. They're looking looking for the radars, got them to scramble. Due to the fire, the duty controllers got them to scramble, and here they are out to intercept another raid by the Axis forces upon England in that summer of 1940. Superb image, and I as much as I like the Airfix box arts today, I mean, an example of is the P40 that I believe I showed in a video a while back. We'll quickly pull it out now. Where this is the CGI artwork, this computer generated artwork. A lot of skill in this, a lot of drama going on, but to me, the proper box art will always be the classic in drawing me in. A proper painting, I have always enjoyed. But yes, so this box art, I'd like to get mounted up at some point. I did think about perhaps having one of those deeper picture frames where you got the model next to it. I also think I'll paint them on the sprue, don't they? Don't actually cut them off the sprue, just paint it on the sprue and have that all laid out. But I think the built model will be better because these things were made to be built. So skill level 1, and yes, and they still have a couple of these in stock, so do go and check that out. Pure nostalgia. I mean, both of these are pure nostalgia hits. There is a third on the way, but a video on that shall come when it arrives, not before. But yes, so yes, a beautiful, here we go, AZH. I'd love to tell you what squadron that was off the top of my head. But even on the back, they went to more effort. You know, picture the scenario in those tumultuous summer months of 1940 as British pilots respond. Now, British and allies, of course, the Polish, the Czech, Czechs, the French, the Norwegians, everyone who was helping us, the Americans, the Canadians, the South Africans. I mean, just watch the end of the Battle of Britain film. It shows the whole list of where they came from around the world to fight tyranny. Respond to the famous radicals Tally-Ho and Angels 1-5 and take off to challenge yet another Luftwaffe bomber raid. Now, I said Axis earlier because the Italians also bombed England during the Battle of Britain. That's why at the Irish Museum Hendon, now known as the Irish Museum London, they have a Fiat CR-42 biplane fighter. It actually was downed during the Battle of Britain and landed. Not many people realise the Italians were in the Battle of Britain as well. And not only that, but on a personal level, that Malta was actually bombed by Italy before Germany bombed Britain in World War II. So yes, that's that. The drone of engines fills the sky and Britain's survival hangs in the balance as wave after wave of German air power attempt to break the aerial resistance provided by the Spitfires and Hurricanes. Probably the most famous of all British fighters, Spitfire's role in winning the Battle of Britain has assured it a glory that is undiminished with time. Pilots would fly until fuel and ammunition ran out and tragic losses were suffered in the collective dogfights that characterised the battle. Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister, summed up the momentous nature of the event with the immortal words, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." In total, more than 20,000 Spitfires were delivered to carry on the fight in all corners of the world to the Allies' victory in 1945. Today, its graceful shape may still be seen in enthralling airshow crowds. I mean, wow, let's just remember that 1-in-9 build that I've not long finished. The eagle eye may have spotted behind me if it's... No, it might be too low actually. It's just sat behind me. And 10-year-old me, let's go back to 10-year-old me. 10-year-old me, one of the things that... I mean, it does actually say here, not suitable for children under 6 months, 8+. So 10-year-old me would be alright with this. But my father always went on about read the writing on it. It teaches you all about it. It's how it got a lot of his knowledge of aircraft was reading model boxes and things. And the inspiration's there. Yes, it's a bit of a dated view of the Battle of Britain, but this kit is from... Is there a date on it? It's Hella, apparently. Umbro product, Hella. Is there a date anywhere on the box? This has got to be 90s. It's a slightly more dated view of the Battle of Britain. It's pushing that we stood alone with only British pilots and stuff like that, where we know. I mean, the 1960s film, the Battle of Britain, showed the Poles and the Czechs, and the Canadians were represented in it. we did know better before this, but it does push that side. It's maybe small-sided. But what inspiration! You could immediately, I'm sure as I was reading those words, you could picture in your head that tumultuous air battles in 1940 that started the way to save civilization as we knew it from a very tyrannical system of government that was represented by the Third Reich of Germany. Now, I'll leave it down to you to talk about what's going on now, but not in my comment section. So, yes, at the time they were fighting for a freedom, and a freedom that we have enjoyed and is being threatened from various ports now. But, as I say, this is not the place to discuss that. Or that the Germans are actually quite nice people. The Nazis were actually quite nice people. Oh, I don't want to hear any of it. They were Nazis. They were evil. Okay, the German people, yeah, some of those people, they didn't even know the war was going on, really, for how much it affected them. There's a great interview with someone who was living near one of the great dams. It's interesting I mentioned that, of the Ruhr. And they said they'd heard the bombing raids, but they were so unaffected by it, they could almost forget that war was happening. So, but conversely, had that government won, things would be even worse than they are now. And that is something that none of us can deny. I mean, the Holocaust alone shows that. So, with that as a background, those words, this box art, and this symbol of freedom and hope that the Hurricane and the Spitfire would begin. On Malta, the Gladiator would begin. Gotta mention it. And the aircraft like the P-51 Mustang and P-47 Thunderbolt would carry on with them, and they started escorting the B-17s and B-24s in the daylight raids over the Reich. And of course into the Far East, these aircraft would all go to serve as well and provide hope for the citizens over there. So yes, an amazing bit of box art. It's amazing how much is actually tied up in this simple box art and a short paragraph on the back. It's quite incredible, and this is exactly why I had to have this. So yes, that's chapter 4. So, box number 2, and here we are. Let's just fetch it out. Now, I mentioned the damage raid, and 10-year-old me comes back again now. Clean it off a bit. Now this is amazing because it's still even in the cellophane. Or as the bard would call it, demon saliva. So, there's no doubting all the parts are in here. Now, does it need an introduction? Avro Lancaster B3 Dambuster. 1/72 scale Series 8 Airfix white box. As a child, going to various air museums, air shows and that sort of thing, this box would be on a shelf. And to me, it looked like it's up there. Because only small at the time. I got a free insect. But yes, it'd be up on that shelf. Probably got for that hole. It's quite dead. There's also a mosquito, so we look. You did deliver the mosquito after all. Anyway, joking aside, second-hand kits, folks. This is something I just want to briefly go on about. I've brought second-hand kits. I've sold some kits online. I've had complaints about it. About things like, oh, they're a bit dusty. And I do try and give things a wipe dye before I post them, if they're a bit dusty or it's got an insect in it. It's like, you're buying a second-hand kit, folks. Like, there's certain things you have to accept with it. It doesn't make the seller bad. It doesn't make, you've got the item as long as it is complete and buildable. That's all. Now, things like the transfers in here may be useless, but I can get replacements. So as long as the model's alright, that's all I wanted. But anyway, back to 10-year-old me. So air shows and things, particularly at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford in Ayrshire. I remember distinctly this being set, and below it was the double set with this Lancaster and Tornado for 617 Squadron anniversary. And it was only when we were talking about this the other night, we noticed that, well, Gary noticed it first, The Tornado comes in 1/48 scale. It's a shame they weren't in the same scale, seeing as Airfix did do a 32 scale Tornado. They did the F3, I think they did the GR4, or GR1 that would have been at the time, so yeah. But anyway, and it's something I always wanted. And it was always out of my price range. And I don't know why, when I had my big flurry of kit buying over the last couple of years, I didn't look for one. But I saw it, I thought, yes, now's the time to get it. The price was unbeatable. I've not seen this without the cellophane. In fact, I've seen ones that was started costing more than this one did. I'm amazed. So yeah, really, really happy with this already. It doesn't matter. I have that fantastic box art. I wish I knew the artist names for both of these pieces. That's something I'll try and do in a future videos. I'll try and find out the artist name and have it printed in time. But yeah, and I finally got it. It'll be the old Airfix Lancaster Tornado, which was a beauty of a kit to build. I used to really love building that one. Not as detailed as the new one, but it goes together. It works. I have got a regular version of this era for a conversion for an Avro Lincoln. But yes, I'll look for it on. So you got it here. You got the Mona dam breached in the right bottom there. You have AJG. This is Guy Gibson's Lancaster. Give you the controls here. Obviously, to get the VCs, the Victoria Cross leading this raid. It was a very dangerous raid, and it's been argued several times about, oh, was it really worth it? They rebuilt the dams in so many weeks. The morale boost to this country was enormous. It cannot be surmounted just how much of a morale boost this was. At the cost of some very experienced crews, yes. But they could have been lost so easily on their next tour of operations. Going to bomb a ball bearing factory or something like that. So the fact they were lost on this raid, to my mind, makes no difference. You know, and the big one that I always like to think of is it proved to the Germans, to the Nazi leadership, it proved that we could attack these things. Because let's not forget, they put a fair amount of defence around the dam. There were anti-torpedo nets in front of them. This is why the bomb, actually a mine, not a bomb, the bouncing bomb was actually a mine, upkeep mine, had to be bounced across the water. That's why Barnes Wallis came up with that. That's the idea. It was a very dangerous mission, and they were incredibly brave, but it proved to them we could do it. The Sorper was the only one we couldn't do, and it was an earth dam. It had to be attacked differently. They hadn't trained for that. That was actually, if I want to say if anything has to be criticised, it was the lack of training for two different types of attack on the dam. That all crews should have had the training for the regular attack that they used on the Mona and the Ada, the two that were breached, and they should have done some training so the ones sent to the Sorper would have a fighting chance of actually doing that. And of course, only the aircraft carrying John Johnson actually made it to the Sorper. The biggest losses happened on the way to that dam. So yes, you know, that's my thoughts on that, and a lot of that is influenced by an interview with Johnny Johnson. I've met the man in person, and I was very, very privileged to do so. And I've also seen him at two talks talking about his experiences with 617 Squadron, and also I have not read the book, but I listened to the audiobook of his biography, semi-autobiographical, sort of dictated somewhere. Really recommend that. Fantastic and amazing what humble beginnings he has, and especially for someone like myself who loves going to Lincolnshire so much, how much he doesn't. He sort of almost resents the fact he always ends up in, as he puts it, bloody Lincolnshire again. But, you know, here we are. And that box art, again, it brings up so much emotion. This box art, it's got everything, like the Spitfire, it's got everything about the moment it represents. But also, it represents a different moment. It puts a lot in mind of my late father. Because it would be with him mostly that I'd be seeing this box when I was a kid and going, have that. And he'd be, no, you're not ready for this yet. And he was quite right. He was quite right. I mean, at no point I know some parents would buy it, and there's nothing wrong with them doing that either. But the way Dad operated was, I needed to get better. I needed to practice and improve before I tackled a more complex kit. Because he knew, and this is why I totally agree with what he did, he knew that if I tried to build it and it didn't work, it didn't go together right, I'd be very disappointed, I'd be upset. So he was teaching me that lesson of practice, practice, practice. And then you won't even realise it's happening, but when you come to do the one you want, you'll do it pretty well. So I agree, and that's the way, if I have children, that's exactly the same way if they want to do a model kit. They'll be treated so. We'll start with Spitfires. Or Hurricanes. So nothing on the back, so these Airfix wine boxes classically never had anything like that. So, do we have a little blurb? So again, this is 8+, made in France. Two versions, both 617 Squadron. After. Now these do have some life after the Lancaster Tornado. They were put into a special squadron and did other duties. Supposedly there's one in Sweden or Switzerland somewhere. Yep. There's the original price tag here. 13.50. Blimey, that was a bargain. I paid a bit more than that. I paid 25 for this. But with inflation, that's a bargain. Because this is definitely going to be 90s. It's just so weird to be holding it, thinking all those times. You know, inside me, I am 10 again. I'm going, oh my god, I can't believe I'm holding it. Dad, kick that habit. You're still going to say no, because I won't ask him. I'm not going to build it this time. But yeah, so then you got a little blur on this one. The aircraft is an Avro Lancaster special of 617 Squadron, which dropped Dr. Barnes Wallace's famous bouncing bomb in the damage raid. So not so much for an inspiring text, but that picture has quite a lot of drama here. I mean, personally, I love this artwork. I think the Lancaster is actually one of the best I've ever seen represented in painted art. Myself, the Lancaster, I don't blame artists for this. A Lancaster, I've come to the conclusion, is an incredibly awkward aeroplane to paint. Some aircraft lend themselves to it. The Lancaster's got very nice proportions, but it's a very awkward aircraft to paint. And I do believe I can actually see, as I look at it, there's a twist in the fuselage technically, because the wings going this way, and the tail's a bit more level. So the twist in the fuselage. We had one painting that used to be hung on the wall in the living room. It was the Lancaster in the painting was 72 scale. If you held up a 72 scale model, it's the exact same size as the Lancaster and the biggest Lancaster in the painting. But to get the wings to line up, you had to turn the model one way. To get the fuselage to line up, you had to turn it another way. So yeah, but yeah, as a paint, it was fine. And I can't paint, so I'm like this, so I'm not going to criticise too much. But yeah, so I understand. But it's one of the best. It's one of the best I've seen of the Lancaster there. I say a famously difficult aircraft to paint in my book. So yeah. So it's this one again. I know it's got a bit of a bend in here, but I'll have that flattened out, and I'll flatten it out, and then again have it mounted. I don't know if I'll have the model underneath it, because that's going to be quite a big picture frame. So it might just be this is. But I want it to keep the Airfix bit here, even though it's all a bit faded. It adds, because some of them were by the time I saw them later on. Like they've done a few air shows, you know, being in the sun all day at an air show, they're going to fade pretty quick. There's something different about air show sun to the rest of the world's sun. It's more intense, I'm sure. Probably because I'm studying it for longer, but yeah, you know. But yes. So yeah. So once again, thank you to the team at Train Times for a speedy dispatch and fair prices. I had no mates rates, despite the fact I know Gary very well. There were no mates rates, there's no customer discounts or anything like that. This is all above board and kosher. No sponsorship of the channel has happened. I mean, I'd love to have money, but then I'd have to spend at least another 15 minutes going on about how wonderful they were. That sort of thing. So that's why I'm not actually that keen on ever getting channel sponsorship for things, because it might go some good sides. It's like, yeah, you've perhaps got to say things you don't really like, and you have to do the include paid promotion bullshit, so I ain't doing that. But anyway, so yes, we have two wonderful kits there. There's a third one to follow, which I did reveal during this video. It is the Mosquito. It's another Airfix 162 scale Mosquito. And there is a little mail call to be done, which I could even do now. I will do it now, actually, and if it's a little video just to go up. from another company because I wanted a different set of transfers. I have still got my Aussie Mark II Night Fighter, which is built from the same kit. Fantastic kit you get to build 3 different versions, but we'll go through that when it arrives. But I've done 2 of them already. Actually, I've done 3 in the past, so I wanted to do something different this time. So we'll have a look at the transfer sheet I got for that. But say it wasn't available at. We'll leave that for that video. Anyway, so yes, to sum up, link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I've got some little things planned for the builds of, particularly of both these 2 aircraft, and when in the video to be uploaded later, in the Battle of Britain diorama, it's going to be up there behind me anyway, which this bit far, so you won't be able to take part in because it's too small. It needs to be 148 for that. But yes, so thanks for watching. Remember, links in the description down below for train times, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, take care. Tally ho. God, that was corny, wasn't it?